I think I was of 19. I think I was about 19 years old. A boyfriend that I had at the time, we separated, and it was unexpected, and so he just kind of like left, and I had nowhere to go. At the time, my relationship with my family was not good, because I had been actively using drugs, and so they kind of didn't want anything to do with that, and no part of that. They're firm believers in tough love, so I had no options. I ended up going into the streets, and I continued with my addiction for another 12 years. And then I got pregnant. And I knew that I wanted a family. I didn't want anyone else to raise my child. And I also didn't want to, bring any harm to my child by using. So I weighed my options, and there really wasn't any other than, okay, you're going to have to kind of swallow your pride and go to a shelter. And so I just showed up on the doorstep. Didn't know if there was any room. Didn't know any of the processes of, didn't call, none of that. But I showed up, and I remember being asked, "How many times have you been here?" And I said, "Never." And I guess that there wasn't really space for a single person, a single woman at the time, but because I don't know, maybe the individual saw something in me, they found space, they made space. So, and I was really grateful for that. I went into the women and infant room temporarily. So I know that now that was not traditional, but it was, I'm going to give this person an opportunity. First, I had to work on my sobriety. That was the first thing I was working on, to make sure that I wasn't going to cause any harm to my child. I went through the STEPS program, and I just was a day treatment program that I worked at every day. I graduated from that, did the aftercare, and then after that, I went through the GED program that was offered at the time. And I worked hard at that, and I was able to successfully get my GED. So from there, I was encouraged to continue my education because, being in the streets and using drugs, I hadn't had a job in many, many years. And I had never had, much more than a fast food job. So but I knew I had the ability. I said, okay, well, I'll give it a try. What can it hurt? And I went to Valencia, and I got my associate's degree. And I liked that, felt good. And I said, well, what do I want to do? What do you want to do now? And I said, well, I think I need to do some more. So from there, I had some really great case managers that I worked with while I was here. And that really made me want to help others the way that I had been helped. And I said, okay, maybe social work. So I I went to UCF. I earned my bachelor's in social work. I graduated cum laude. And from there, that qualified me to work on my master's degree in social work, advanced standing. Instead of taking 2 years for the master's program, I could do it in one. So I graduated from UCF as well with my master's degree in social work. And yeah, then I started being in the community, helping others the way that I was helped. It's very empowering to help someone else, because it's a part of my sobriety to help someone else. When I see other individuals doing well, it helps me as well. It's very rare that I do share that part with my clients, because it can be very detrimental to the relationship. It's very helpful for me as a social worker because I have that insider knowledge, so to speak. So I can kind of see through a lot of things, and clients will not know how I know. And how did you know that, Miss Elisa? I just know. There have been a couple occasions that I felt like it would be really good for the client and helpful for the client for them to know, but I never share the whole story. It's just bits and pieces that I think will, bring them around and be helpful to them. So I came here pregnant with one. I gave birth to my daughter while I was still a resident here. Brought her home from the hospital right here. I had met someone, and we got a place together, and we started our family, but it was very new. We weren't sure neither one of us were sure if it was going to be a permanent relationship. It was just, boyfriend, girlfriend at the time. And truthfully, both of us were dealing with, trying to stay clean and sober ourselves. We both were in our own places of recovery. So that's a very, that can be very scary at times. So you have to, always put yourself as a priority first, and in that circumstance. So my relationship with my family, like my parents, grandparents, they're the ones that had kind of given me space. It took them a while. In fact, some of them at least a year or more before they were certain that this wasn't just a temporary thing, because they didn't want to invest themselves in me. They didn't want to get attached to my baby, and then all of a sudden, poof, it's all gone. So it took them a little time, but once they were confident that I was serious about staying clean, staying sober, doing something for myself, then they did come around, and they have been an absolute I could not be where I am now if it hadn't been for them. They have been so supportive all the way through. So it's been great to have them back in my life, in my children's lives, and I say children because it ended up being more permanent than I had expected in the beginning. But yes, me and my boyfriend, we ended up getting married. We've been together 12 years, been married. We just had our 10th wedding anniversary. And we have a 4-year-old daughter, and then my first daughter, who is now 11. When I first graduated, it had always been in my mind when I was, as I said, I had a lot of great case managers, a lot of great assistants that came through the coalition. So it always was in my mind. One day I wanna come back. One day I wanna do for someone at the coalition. I one day maybe I could work for the coalition. I want to do that. But, I had to get my feet wet in the community. I had to, get my own knowledge. And so I was in different arenas and different areas at first. And I learned valuable lessons in every place of employment that I've been. But it always was still in the back of my mind. And it just so happened that an opportunity became available that kind of fit my talent and my skill. And so, now I am also an employee of the coalition. So I started at the coalition, and it's come full circle, and now I work for the coalition. So it's really awesome. It's an awesome feeling to know that I'm working for a place that started the whole process. It started the ball rolling. So, and I work every day with that in my mind, is who can I get the ball rolling for today?